Welcome everyone to Marketing 16, how to create marketing partnerships. And I got to tell you, we are now in the age of public-private partnerships. And the private is your tax base, your job base. It's the reason we promote tourism. Think about people that go to Orlando with 190 attractions there. Every single one, almost every single one of them is private. That is the power of tourism, wineries in Napa Valley, on and on and on. So I'm going to give you some ideas of ways to create marketing partnerships. Number one is getting competitors to work together. Now, I was working in the Carson Valley area of Nevada. Carson City is the state capital city. This is like, half an hour south of Reno and Sparks, Nevada, about half an hour away from Lake Tahoe. And in this area, there were 9 golf courses. These 9 golf courses, I shouldn't say they hated each other, but they were fierce competitors. They're all competing with green fees, with memberships, you name it. But one of them was part of our program there where we're working with them. So he was part of the Convention Visitors Bureau. And he said, this is ridiculous. I don't know why my 8 competitors, there's nine of these golfers. I don't know why we're all at each other's throats trying to outcompete each other on price or whatever it is. So he went out there, started working with his competitors, and he got $1,100 from each of them. So that meant they got $10,000. With that $10,000, they hired a marketing firm to help them put together a website and a name. And the name is brilliant. The Divine Nine. Golf the Divine Nine. This is what they did. With that $10,000, they got this name, they got a website, they actually went out and photographed the golf courses. I mean, it started something that just changed this area. This area was never known for golf. I mean, most people thought of this area in Nevada as brown and dusty. But look at this, 70,000 yards of celestial layouts, minutes from Reno and Lake Tahoe. And notice the photographs that they're using here. I mean, this is incredible. They even did a thing called the Ticket to Paradise, where you pay $395 and you get a ticket to play all 9 courses, and you can do it in multiple trips, or you can stay there and do it. And so what happened is each golf course says, well, then what we need to do is figure out what our point of differentiation is. You may have these wild sand traps or a floating green or a 5-star restaurant. They each had a point there. So there'd be incentive to play all 9. It was so cool. So somebody said, we're going to do these incredible water hazards. We're going to do these incredible sand traps. Another one, they all were trying to find some way of differentiating themselves. Look at these photographs. You don't see brown and dusty in these photographs. And by the way, if you didn't know it, Nevada is the most mountainous state in the country. But look at these photographs. This is stunning. And you know what? Within months, they're written up in travelgolf.com, the Divine Nine Tour, a true day of golf in Reno, even though it's half an hour south of Reno. A couple of them are up in there. The Reno Gazette Journal, golf courses band together, promote tourism. I mean, it just worked. Love this little comment. My wife's not a golfer, but she said, thank heaven when I mentioned coming here. And that's from Las Vegas, which is at the other end of the state, 450 miles away. And what's really cool about co-op advertising, even the hotels got together. Carson Valley Inn, the Ormsby House, the Hardman House, Best Western, they all got together and each of them pitched in to create this rat card promoting the Divine Nine. And here's your choices of places to stay. I mean, so this is co-op of competitors working together, but it's also lodging competitors working together to promote golfing as an overnight stay and worthy of a night stay. And when they promote Carson City, the Carson Valley area, hub of the Sierra, there's the Divine Nine. It's front and center in all their marketing. And then they'll say, while you're there, this is the home of Kit Carson. They have a lot of Western history here. They've got Houses Talk. I mean, they've just got this is the self-guided historic walk. That is how fantastic. Now, I got to tell you, this was like 15 years ago. It is still going strong today. A top golf destination in the entire United States started with $1,100 each from 9 golf courses and turned into a top-rated golf destination. That is how you get competitors to work together. Second on this would be a co-op outdoor space available marketing program. And this is going to be really short because in Marketing 15, we talked about billboards and space available. Lots of details there. But one that it didn't include was maybe you could do co-op. So in this example, we could do the same billboard, but in this case, we had each of these people down at the bottom actually pitch in. So let's say that we could rent a billboard and you don't have much budget. And they say, well, we'll rent that billboard for you for $1,000 a month. Well, now, if we could have BP, which says they have gas, we have fast food, whether it's Tim Hortons or McDonald's, we've got groceries, we've got places to stay. And what they each do, if you had 7 partners in this, that'd be $142 each per month. There's your $1,000. See what I mean? Heck, if it was $2,000, it would be less than $300 a month. And you're getting millions or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of impressions every month. So this is a great way to do that. Now, people aren't going to stop and say, oh, they've got a Safeway. They're going to say, oh, they've got a BP. We can get gas there. Oh, they've got a couple of dining places. Oh, they got groceries there. Let's stop there. Oh, look, they've got lodging. So even though they might, and somebody might say, all they see is that Holiday Inn Express, and they go, they have a Holiday Inn Express. We stay at those. See what I mean? So this is a great way to take billboards where there is a cost and divide it with partners across the bottom. But the main focus is welcome to the Rendezvous region and the top 5 paddling lakes or the top 3 golf courses or whatever it is you're promoting. That's the teaser for them to go to the website and find out where these are. So that's number 2. And then we're going to go right to number 3, which is cooperative rack brochures. And I've shown this one in the past, but I really think this is important. This is Olympia, Washington, about an hour and 15 minutes south of the Seattle area and Mercer Island. And so they did a cool thing in this area. They call this the South Sound. It's the very southern end of Puget Sound. But Carla Wolfsberg was this great lady. She did a great thing because in this area, there were 11 different little museums, like the house Bing Crosby was born in. Now, how many of you would drive an hour or so to see the house Bing Crosby was born in? You're probably going, yeah, not so much. But what if you had a brochure that showed 11 different museums, and that just happened to be one of them? Notice the map on the back there. And there's one in Shelton, the Historical Museum. There's one in Olympia. There's one in Chehalis. These are all in the South Sound area. And what they did is see this brochure. By the way, it's done in just 2 colors. These days you can do full color for pretty much the same price, but it's just brown and black ink on the white paper. And so here's other ones, Tumwater, St. Charles. You can see all these. There's the Crosby House, and so what they did is Carla put this together. What's interesting is these museums each paid $200 to be in this brochure. That is the co-op. That was the cost of designing it, working with them to get a photograph and some text and their location and directions, by the way, are down at the bottom. And so they did this $2,200 times 11 was, about $2,500. And I think they subsidized this with maybe $1,500. But once again, it's cooperative and museums don't have a lot of money. And so they each paid $200. But here's the bottom line. These museums individually didn't have any money to create brochures, let alone distribute them out there. But this way we got them all together and it made it worth that hour drive from Seattle or half an hour from Tacoma or a couple hours north of Portland. And so look at the outcome of doing this. They tripled the number of visitors while cutting their collective marketing costs by nearly 2/3. Wow. That is the power of co-op marketing. Now that's museums. Museums have the least amount of money for co-op. But let's do another one. If we go back to Rendezvous Region, North Dakota, I said they ought to do an RV and a camping guide. So who would be in that? They'll do a history trail. That's the same thing. The museums, they could do a golf guide. They've got, they might follow what Carson Valley did. The very best of, we're going to do a whole video on just that. Paddling guide. You could do all of these types of guides and then make them cooperative. So for instance, if we did the guide, the RV parks and campgrounds could each be in there and they would pay for a panel. And then co-working spaces for people that travel in RV that might need to go in and find a co-working space like this that's coming to you. And then propane tank fill sites. Almost all of these are private. Hardware stores with RV supplies or grocery stores. You have to understand that RVers shop like you shop, drugstores. All of these, they want to know when we come into your area, where can we get these things? If we need repair services or RV sales, parts, all of these. Now, what you see there at the post office is very important, but the reason it's in gold is because they're not a paying member. It's hard to get the federal government to pitch in on a brochure. But medical clinics for urgent care, pet supplies, veterinary, all of these people could be in there and they could have you could have 20 panels, 30 panels, fishing supplies, bait. Remember, these people are doing things. They're not just RVing. They might be out fishing or hiking. Amazon locker locations, even drugstores and places that are Amazon will actually buy an ad, pulls people in the store. And the reason they're Amazon locker locations is because people tend to buy things while they're there. It's a lure to pull people in. Top hiking, biking trails, they might not be paying, but Top Paddling Sports, these are public amenities that are probably not going to pay to have a panel. Hit top historical sites and museum, depending on funding availability. Dog parks. And so you can see all those in white are enough to carry the cost of this completely. And it might be, and I'm going to tell you how to figure this out so you know how much to charge them. And I'm going to get into more details. So there's one. On a paddling guide, you might have the top 3 places and then do 3 more, and they might not be paying customers in this case. State provincial parks, they usually will do. We found really good success with them actually saying, sure, we'll donate the money for one of those panels. You might do a 2-panel spread of the air showing where the takeout places are for paddling. They're not going to pay. That's what you have these other people do. They're covering the cost. Outfitters, sales, rentals, gear, life preservers, hardware stores, mercantiles that sell supplies, gears, thermos bottles, you name it. There'll be paddles. If somebody lost a paddle on a lake or a river, that they can get new ones. Food and drink, maybe we're going to take lunch out on the lake with us. And this could work for paddling. This is stand-up paddleboarding, kayaking, canoeing, transportationers. If there's local businesses that say you put in here on the river and we'll take you out there. We just found that in Spokane, Washington, where you can put your kayaks in and then a company will pull you out about 3 hours downstream for $10. They'll take you back to your original location. And so how awesome is that? Lessons, if it's stand-up paddleboarding or guide services. Local paddling clubs would do this. So these are things you could do. And so here's how to do this. How to make it happen. Number 1, determine the cost. So once you know how many people you're going to be in there and which ones are paying, figure out what's it going to cost to design this brochure. Let's say $1,000. Then we need to have somebody do the copywriting, actually writing the text. It's just as important as the design. And then photography. If they're going to include photography, fantastic. If not, then maybe you might have that cost. How much does it cost to print these? And you might print 1,000. Plus, you're going to have it easily downloadable on the web. And when you do downloadable on the web, don't do it in the same brochure. Make sure it'll print on 8.5 by 11 or paper. And then what's it going to cost to distribute? So figure out the cost of producing this brochure. Then what you do is you and never say who wants in, we have space available. You're not selling advertising, you are selling help. You need to pick and choose the people in there. They have to deliver a good experience. If you promote somebody and they're closed 5 days of the week, or they don't return their calls, or they got bad reviews, one apple will ruin the whole bunch. So you need to pick and choose who's going to be there and invite them in. And then what you do, and once again, you're not selling advertising, you're selling help for your visitors. That's what you have to remember. We are trying to help our visitors have a better experience, and you're also helping them loosen their wallets. That is the benefit of tourism. So once you figure out what the costs are, and you say you're going to print 2,000 to start, and then what you do is you divide that by the number of paying visitors or paying panels, and then you could go to them and say, okay, it's going to be $400 or $200 or $100, whatever that cost is. You can subsidize it. It is public-private, but you can also have them carry the whole cost. And so this is such a cool way to go. You're being helpful. You're not selling ads. You are selling help. So these are like advertorial. They don't look like ads. They all look like you saw that history brochure. They all are helpful. And so that is a way to do this. And it works. It's amazing. And by the way, one more thing about brochures, before you tell me brochures are passe, that's yesteryear, let me tell you something, is that before we plan a trip, brochures and printed materials are used 32% of the time. That's according to Butler University, who did a study on this. 32%. But once they arrive, because before we travel, we're using the internet as number one, friends and families number one, is right there at the top. Having conversations, social media with friends and family. And then print brochures is like 1/3 of the time. So it's still important, but it's only 32%. But once they arrive, believe it or not, brochures are number one at 81%. When we arrive, we want to be in the car with something we can hold. We can be in a restaurant with a brochure, not on our phones. We can be in a hotel room and we have that guide. So once we arrive, these jump to number one, even today, number one. So don't say that these are passe. This is something we can use when we want to be off our phones or we don't have good cell service. If you're in Canada, people in the United States don't have Rogers Wireless and vice versa. When they come down, they don't all have Verizon. Nowadays, a lot of them will work, but don't rely on the internet for everything. This is a way you can make this happen. And with that, next up in this series is Marketing 17 Ideas that will boost your shoulder seasons without breaking the bank. See you then.